You feel the weight of an old debt as Baron Hayfield storms onto the Marronnier farm, clutching the deed. He shouts the debt must be paid now or blood will spill. The farm becomes a battlefield. Hazel watches, wondering how she'll protect her dream. Hazel grabs a hammer, starts mending the broken fence. Emily Bell pours water on seedlings. Noelle chases a stray chicken. Aunt Martin watches, muttering about the rain. A sudden gust threatens to topple the half-fixed fence. Hazel steps back, inspects the repaired section, and nods. She confirms the fence holds despite the pouring rain. She wipes mud from her hands, determined to keep the farm safe. A sharp gust whistles through the farmyard, rattling the rain-soaked shutters. Hazel's black raincoat flutters, exposing the hem of her dress. The wind pushes a loose straw into her eyes, forcing her to wipe it away. The moment highlights the harsh weather threatening her work. The wind's whisper tests her resolve further. Hazel feels the weight of expectation pressing on her shoulders. She tightens the rope, grips the wooden post, and hears a faint whisper of pressure. The farm's old spirit seems to test her resolve. She steels herself, knowing the Empire watches her land, and tightens the knot, refusing to let doubt weaken her. The torn hem becomes visible in the next scene.
The Imperial Guard steps forward, sword lowered, eyes Hazel's repaired fence with a measured stare. From the palace balcony, the Emperor appears, cloaked in gold, his gaze fixed on the boundary. Hazel braces, knowing the Emperor's decree may force her to surrender the farm. Emperor lifts his golden cloak, points at the freshly mended fence. Imperial Guard steps forward, sword flashing. Hazel stiffens, fearing an official order. The Guard's next move could seal Hazel's fate. Rain hammers the field, turning the soil to dark mud. A faint, pulsing sigil glows near the fence line, unnoticed by the Guard. That glow hints at the cursed sun's hand spreading. Aunt Martin grips Hazel's shoulder, eyes sharp.
Hazel looks up as a bright beam pierces the clouds, slamming into the field. She gasps, pointing at the light. I didn't expect to see the sun's hand like this. The beam ignites something in the earth. The sun's hand touches the soil, and a green shoot erupts instantly. Hazel rushes forward, kneeling beside the newborn sprout. The miracle proves the magic works. Someone at the palace watches the miracle. From the palace balcony, Emperor Kale watches the sprout, his eyes narrowed. He raises a hand, signaling his guards to approach. Imperial interest threatens Hazel's quiet farm. Baron Hayfield steps into the scene. Baron Hayfield strides onto the field, examines the sprout, and nods. Hazel looks up at the clearing sky, gasps, and cries, "Heaven!" A shaft of light pierces the clouds, illuminating the sprout. The sudden brightness feels like a promise. The Emperor's next command may decide if that light becomes blessing or curse. Imperial Guards lower their spears, stepping back as Emperor Kale raises his hand. Hazel steps onto the marked plot, planting a seed in the fresh earth. The sprout glows faintly, echoing the earlier light. The Imperial decree looms, and the next chapter will reveal its true intent. Hazel presses the seed into fresh earth. A golden light erupts, soil cracks. A tiny sprout shoots upward. Dorian steps forward, hand outstretched, offering a parchment. Hazel grabs the Imperial ribbon, then reaches for the scroll, her fingers shaking. The ribbon flutters in the wind, marking the palace border. Accept this or lose the farm. A rider appears, bearing the Emperor's decree. A horseman in Imperial armor gallops up, dismounts, and thrusts a sealed envelope toward Hazel. She catches it, the crest glints, eyes widen. Hazel must choose to sign the Emperor's demand. Dorian shatters the Imperial decree, offering Hazel a choice as the Imperial ribbon flutters, sealing the farm's fate. Hazel feels her heart crush under the weight of losing her ancestral land. Yet a spark of defiance ignites as she clutches the seedling and the Imperial seal. The Imperial Guard's sword hovers, the sealed envelope glints, and Hazel's trembling hand hovers over the signature, leaving the Empire's demand hanging on a breath. I don't miss. Subscribe to Manwa with Hari for consistent, high-tier recaps. Baron Dorian snatches the deed to Marronnier farm, his hand gripping the parchment. Hazel watches, eyes wide. The land sits beside the Imperial Palace, and her latent power now draws Imperial attention. Dorian's grip on the farm signals a looming clash over her hidden talent. Baron Dorian strides into the council hall, raises his voice, greets the officials. He soon turns the meeting toward Hazel's farm. Hello, how is everyone? He prepares to press the Baron about the farm's location. Baron Dorian coughs, rubs his throat, notes the delay, then demands an update on Hazel's land. He orders a scout to locate the farm's exact borders. Later than expected, this chokes me. Hazel steps back, eyes fixed on the sprouting seedlings. She smiles, seeing the field burst into green. The child's skill promises a thriving harvest. This convinces Hazel that the farm can succeed. Baron Dorian steps forward, his voice cutting through the calm. Baron Dorian strides to the palace wall, raises his palm, and shouts at the Emperor. His voice carries authority, demanding respect for the deed. This challenges the Emperor's claim directly. The Imperial Guards lower their swords, uncertain of whom to obey. Imperial Guards lower their swords, eyes flicking between the Emperor and Dorian. A tense pause hangs over the farm. The standoff holds the land's fate in balance. This leaves Hazel's future hanging. A treasury officer slides a ledger across the stone table, pointing to the sum listed, 8,000 gold. He mutters, 8,000 gold? The amount represents the compensation the Emperor demands for the land's relocation. Accepting means losing the farm. Refusing invites Imperial wrath. Baron watches, ready to intervene. Hazel walks to the farmhouse doorway, clipboard in hand. She gestures like a manager pointing at the field layout. She clears her throat, a brief ahem, then turns to the nearby worker. She tries to organize planting schedules before the Emperor's deadline. Establishing authority now buys her time to negotiate the farm's future. Ahem. The clock on the palace wall begins its countdown.
Hazel frowns, clutching the deed. Dorian warns that no one will respect her claim, urging her to try the meatloaf and pie now, but says it's not the right time. She hesitates, remembering her lifelong farm dream. What is this? Dorian points at the map showing the parcel beside the palace. He leans forward, eyes sharp, and asks Hazel if farming isn't her true desire. Hazel's resolve hardens as she visualizes the fields. Isn't your dream to farm? Hazel spreads the deed, eyes wide. She exclaims that the farm finally belongs to her, then sighs, admitting she lacks any farming skill. Dorian signals a meeting to sort the legalities.
Hazel lifts the deed, pointing to the signature line. She recalls 2 years reviewing loans at the bank, citing that knowledge as proof. Confidence radiates as she declares the paperwork unbreakable. 2 years loan review guarantees no one can strip this land. The next scene zoom in on the deed, hinting at Imperial attention. Close-up shows the deed, Hazel's name highlighted in black ink. Behind it, the palace silhouette looms dark. An Imperial courier in crimson garb steps forward, hand hovering over the parchment, eyes narrowed. The scene signals an official challenge. Hazel pulls the parchment forward, exposing the bold header, Record. The ink spells out the land title, her surname, and the official seal.
The courier bows before the Emperor, hands over the sealed parchment. The Emperor lifts the document, unfolds it, the map showing the green plot beside his palace. He runs his finger over the hidden clause, then presses his own gold seal onto the paper. A guard steps forward, ready to dispatch a messenger back to the council. The Emperor's eyes linger on the tiny farm, hinting a plan. Hazel's dream now faces the Emperor's direct interest.
The Imperial courier snatches Hazel's trembling deed, exposing the Imperial seal and forcing Dorian to convene a council that can nullify the Baron's claim on the green plot beside the palace. Hazel watches her hope evaporate as the sealed decree departs, realizing the farm she clings to slips toward ruin while the council's decision threatens her family's legacy and future. The Emperor's finger traces a hidden clause on the map, and a shadowed figure steps from the doorway, promising answers that could either rescue Hazel or seal her doom. Imagine knowing exactly what happens before your friends do. Subscribe to Manwa with Hari and be the one with the answers. The Emperor's triumph parade rolls past. Drums echo. Cloaked assassins slip into Hazel's renovated barn, hiding among fresh timber. Their secret arrival threatens her farm before she even steps foot there. The danger looms as the palace watches. Crowds flood the wide boulevard. Lanterns sway, banners flutter. City cleaners push carts, sweeping discarded festival ribbons. Vendors pack stalls, shouting final sales. The capital streets pulse with post-festival energy. Palace walls rise beyond the market. Hama pushes through the throng, eyes scanning the packed avenue. He mutters about the overwhelming crowd, wondering why the celebration feels so tense. What's all the fuss? I expected crowds, not this seriousness. Ahead, Sir Zigwald watches from the palace balcony. Cohen sighs, wondering if the younger crowd even knows the recent reforms. He mentions spotting the story in the newspaper but admits he was absorbed in his books during lunch break. His distraction shows that even officials miss the public's awareness, underscoring how the empire's changes spread slowly. This highlights the gap between policy and everyday knowledge. Do kids even know this? I saw it in the paper, but I was reading at lunch. The conversation shifts toward how information circulates in the city. Paige interjects, her voice low, repeating the term that has been whispered among nobles. Grand Cavalier. The name carries weight, linking the Emperor to the elite swordmasters. Hazel squints toward the far end of the garden. A study house fades into the horizon, obscured by trees. The stone road stretches longer than expected, winding past the fountain toward the hidden structure. Hazel walks down the stone road that winds past the fountain. She passes a row of low hedges framing the garden. A palace guard in polished armor steps onto the path, hand on his spear. He eyes Hazel cautiously. Their brief stare hints at the Empire's scrutiny of her new land. The guard's presence hints that an Imperial envoy will soon arrive. Hazel stops at the garden's edge. She surveys the neatly trimmed herbs, the fountain, and the towering stone sculpture. Guard points to the massive iron gate, then steps aside, indicating the entrance behind him. He gestures that the gate must be open to proceed. This matters because Hazel still thinks the barrier is a wall. Hazel still believes the stone wall is impassable. Hazel looks up at the arch, frowns, then exclaims, surprised. She waves her hand, saying the line. This matters because she realizes the structure is a gate, not a wall, and may be opened. I didn't even realize this was a gate. Sir Zigwald finishes, demanding, who will go? He challenges anyone to defend the land. It matters because a champion must appear or the palace will claim it. Who will go? Hazel's resolve hardens as she steps forward. An Imperial guard draws his blade. The Emperor raises a hand to silence the crowd, and Hazel clenches her fists. It matters because the next order will decide the farm's fate. The Emperor's command will echo across the palace grounds.
The Emperor seizes the deed in Hazel's hand, points at the parcel, and commands his troops to claim the farm, while Sir Zigwald draws his sword and shouts a challenge across the marble courtyard. Hazel's fragile title is threatened. She steels herself, while the Emperor's cold gaze promises ruin, and Zigwald's bold rally forces everyone to choose sides, risking lives for the farm. An Imperial guard draws his blade. The Emperor raises a hand to silence the crowd, and the unanswered challenge, who will go, hangs in the air, leaving the farm's fate hanging on a single champion.
You clearly have taste. Subscribe to Manwa with Hari. It's what the real fans do.
Imperial guards storm Marronnier farm. The Emperor's hidden troops already stir. The squad fans out, surrounding the farmhouse. Their commander in polished armor surveys the crops, noting the farm sits just beyond the palace walls. He reports that any private land near the Imperial seat may be seized for strategic use. Hazel watches the troops, heart racing, realizing her dream now faces royal authority. Cohen arrives, clutching a faded parchment that could decide her fate. Hazel stands amid her rows, dirt under her boots. She brushes a stray leaf from a lettuce head, then turns to the distant guard line. The sun casts long shadows across the furrows, highlighting the farm's neatness.
Cohen freezes when a low rumble echoes from the palace walls. He looks toward the horizon, whispers, "What's that sound?" The crew stops, ears straining. The noise hints at Imperial troops mobilizing, a warning that the palace is watching their progress. If the army arrives before they finish, the farm could be seized without protest. Their survival now depends on finishing before the troops appear. Stay subbed to Manwa with Hari, or you'll miss the climax.
What's that sound?
A stranger bursts onto the field, demanding answers. A young noble steps forward, eyes sharp, and shouts, "What are you doing here? Someone incoming." He brandishes a seal, demanding the deed. The noble heir hands Hazel a thin parchment, says, "Common, please sign this document. 1010, of course." Hazel fumbles, but hic, as she hesitates to endorse a contract that could strip her claim. The demand forces Hazel to choose between signing away her land or fighting the aristocrat's power. She prepares to produce the notarized deed as the heir's pressure mounts. Hazel flips the parchment open. The header reads of the Britannia Empire. The document bears the imperial seal, indicating the empire itself backs the noble's claim. This revelation raises the stakes. Imperial authority could overrule any local deed. Imperial eyes now watch the farm, and a hidden agenda looms.
A stern noble heir storms onto Hazel's farm, slams a thin imperial sealed parchment across the table and forces her to choose between signing away her claim and facing the empire's relentless grip on her livelihood. Hazel's heart pounds as she watches the imperial seal, realizing every seed she plants could be ripped from her hands, and she feels the weight of losing not just land but her identity and purpose. Cecil's warning echoes as the clerk pivots to a new light weapon report, leaving Hazel staring at the looming imperial decree and wondering whether the empire will crush her defiance or unleash an even darker threat.
If you click away without subscribing, you might never find Manwa with Hari again. Hit the button.
Marronnier farm ignites, sending blood-red flames across the wheat. Imperial guards storm the gates, swords flashing. Miyu, the farmer, clutches a sack of seed, eyes wide at the inferno. Half-burned palace banners billow over the chaos. The council watches from a balcony, faces ashen. The empire quakes. The Emperor steadies his hand, poised to decide the fate of Yal's remark. A senior minister drops to one knee, whispering, "Your Majesty," but Emperor Huan lifts his hand, silencing every murmur. He snatches the scroll, its ink spelling out the disputed borderlands. The council leans in, tension crackling. The minister warns that angering the royal line could spark rebellion. Huan weighs the harvest's survival against noble privilege. A trembling advisor bows low, pleading, "Your Majesty, I cannot lift my head after this chaos." A speculator seized the land by the palace. "I will bear the blame at once." He confesses the council's rookie missteps. By shouldering guilt, he seeks to soothe the emperor and stave off harsher retribution. The emperor's answer will steer the palace's next maneuver. A court lady leans in, murmuring, "The ball approaches. Which lady shall we summon?" "Athena," a noble groans. "My stomach aches again. Stress overwhelms." The gala morphs into a pressure valve, tying personal frailty to political intrigue. Whispers suggest the ball will become the arena for the land dispute.
Miyu probes, "Are you the superior of the previous manager?" The stranger scowls. "What do you mean?" Their tense exchange reveals Miyu's uncertainty and the official surprise at being challenged. The moment underscores the fragile power balance on the farm. Miyu readies the refreshments. Miyu beams, announcing the guest as the farm's first visitor, promising coffee and biscuits. She guides him to a modest table beneath a blooming chestnut tree. The hospitality smooths tension, cloaking the political undercurrent. This bond could sway future negotiations. Unseen eyes linger beyond the farm's fence.
Miyu welcomes the enigmatic official in a crisp coat, pouring coffee beneath the chestnut tree, as Hidden Kohen slips into a secret courtyard, unveiling himself as an imperial minister, a revelation that shocks all. Hope blooms as Miyu bridges class walls. While June stews, the palace official issues a ban, and Kohen fears his secret could drag the farm into lethal disgrace, putting everything on the line. A cloaked sentinel atop the palace ramparts watches the farm's modest table, eyes fixed on the chestnut tree, heralding an imminent clash that could shatter the fragile peace.
I read the Roar chapters so you don't have to. Pay it forward and subscribe to Manwa with Harry.
Imperial Guard thunders onto Marronnier farm, their hidden cannon belching fire. Hazel Mayfield darts forward, slamming her forearm into a soldier reaching for the crate. "Stop!" she shouts, but a sudden gust of dust blinds her lenses. She stumbles, the crate teetering on the edge of ruin. The guard snarls, promising exile if she meddles. Every blurred blink threatens to expose a crack in their disciplined line. The choking dust could unravel the guard's secret signal. Hazel lunges at a low strawberry bush, thinking the tangled vines hide a weapon. She yanks the vines aside and reveals a shallow trench, freshly carved by the guard's engineers.
A distant signal flare erupts, its red glow spelling an unreadable rune across the night sky. Hazel recognizes it as the palace's warning signal. Imperial scouts are on the move. She darts to the barn, pulling the hay curtain tighter around the entrance. The flare's light threatens to illuminate the farm's concealed entry. The Emperor's scouts soon reach the barn's perimeter. Palace scout steps forward, demanding entry. Hazel shakes her head, muttering, "Say no? What's wrong with her?" She blocks the doorway, clutching a sack of seed. Her stubborn refusal forces the scout to retreat, but the Emperor's men now suspect sabotage. Rex himself may soon arrive to inspect the farm. Hazel watches Harima lean against the barn wall, eyes fixed on the upcoming ball. Harima admits a pang of envy, wishing he could trade his simple life for palace glitter. His envy highlights the allure of aristocratic privilege and foreshadows his desire to help Hazel navigate court politics. Herma's jealousy may push him to act on Hazel's behalf when the Emperor arrives. A hushed conversation spreads among the workers. They explain the Grand Duke can accompany His Majesty because his cousin shows no interest in the Imperial line. If the Grand Duke gains the Emperor's favor, he could secure a powerful ally for the farm.
The Imperial decree slams the ground, and Lei strides onto the farm, seal glinting in his hand. He demands an immediate inspection while the Grand Duke positions his forces beside the barn, eyes set on claiming the newly acquired lands. Hazel's heart pounds, torn between craving royal adoration and fearing ruin, as the bittersweet taste of her strawberry mirrors the gamble of trading humble identity for imperial favor. As the cavalry thunder down the hill, the unfinished fence looms, leaving the Emperor's gaze uncertain and the farm's fate hanging on a single unseen decision.
The editing, the voice, the pacing. You know it's good. Subscribe to Manwa with Harry.
The demolition timer hits 0. The palace's hidden cannon erupts beneath the farm. The blast shatters the earth, sending dust over Hazel's newly claimed plot. No one expected the Imperial weapon to fire here. The explosion draws the Emperor's gaze straight to the farm's borders. It puts Hazel's dream at risk and forces the crew to act fast. We must secure the site now. Cohen steps forward, eyes fixed on the ruined ground. Chvo rushes forward, voice cracking with anger. He shouts that they'll never succeed this time, his frustration echoing across the wreckage. The crew pauses, aware his outburst could spark a brawl.
Cohen declares he cannot drink coffee, recalling the palace's recent switch to chicory. He explains that chicory was invented by commoners as a cheap coffee substitute, then adopted by the Emperor for its health benefits. The brew reduces acidity and adds vitamins, making it a politically safe drink for the court. The Imperial decree protects chicory growers and silences critics. This revelation lightens the mood while deepening the political stakes around Hazel's farm. The minister will now issue the final decree on the landowner. A worker asks when the last time was that anyone drank real coffee, prompting laughs. The question underscores how rare true coffee has become since chicory took over.
A painted banner flutters over the cleared lot. The large character "She" glows in gold, meaning joy. Below it, a scribbled TZ marks the contractor's shorthand. The crew pauses, eyes on the banner, recognizing the Emperor's propaganda that the new garden will bring happiness to the capital. The banner boosts morale and signals official approval of the project. The workers feel the Emperor's presence growing stronger. Hazel leans against a broken stone column, admitting she drinks 7 to 8 cups of palace coffee a day. She says the bitter brew lifts her spirits while the palace looks like a battlefield. She confesses the habit makes her dizzy and nauseous, warning that her body can't handle the excess. The conversation ends as a junior official steps forward, eyes sharp. He asks, "What happened? I understand now." Echo replies, recounting how y'all risked everything, confronting the stubborn landowner, and delivered the crucial information to the crew. The revelation steadies the team, showing that someone already breached the barrier. Their resolve strengthens, ready to begin the foundation work despite lingering doubts about the Emperor's true motives. "I see. What happened? Now I understand."
Y'all risked trouble and told me everything.
The next scene shows the first stone being laid under Imperial eyes. Connor asks what the real motive is. Echo replies that they were told their effort was useless, which hurt them.
He steps onto the clipboard, his name flashing as the new demolition supervisor, and the crew's nervous chatter erupts into a charged silence as the stone foundation looms, demanding immediate action. Echo wrestles with lingering hurt from being dismissed as useless, yet clings to the promise of Connor's 8-day treat, feeling both the sting of past betrayal and a fragile hope for renewed camaraderie. The crew pauses, weighing the urgent command to commence demolition against their fatigue. while Ye's looming safety checks and the unknown consequences of the landowner's stubborn resistance hang like a ticking threat over the days.
Connect the dots before anyone else. Subscribe to Manwa with Hari. Hazel slips through the palace wall's shadowed arch. The garden glistens under the early sun, but a distant alarm from her farm still echoes in her mind. She reaches the strawberry patch, crouches, and starts picking the red fruit. A palace guard spots her movement and shouts, demanding a halt. Hazel freezes, heart pounding, knowing any mistake could draw imperial punishment.
Right.
Hazel eyes the next bush, hoping to stay unseen. Guard Cohen steps forward, his armor clinking. He lowers his spear, eyes narrowing at Hazel's presence. "Cohen," he says, introducing himself, though his tone bears suspicion. He asks why a civilian wanders in the Imperial Garden. Cohen swallows his pride, declares he misunderstood the rules, and turns to leave. He whispers a hurried apology to the stone statues. A distant clink of armor suggests a guard is still nearby. The garden's scent grows heavier as night approaches. Cohen's retreat leaves Hazel alone with the remaining strawberries.
I must have misunderstood. I'm leaving now.
A silent figure watches from the shadows. Hazel grabs the last 3 berries, squeezes them into her palm, and sighs. She hears footsteps and calls, "Your Excellency?" The voice answers, "Excellency," and a stern officer steps forward, shouting, "Colm Talbert." The officer's badge glints in the lantern light.
Cohen grows impatient, shouting that there's never been an interesting person in the garden. He repeats his comment about the strawberries, demanding a better listener. Carrie fumbles, asking what he just said, and mentions she must clear her schedule for a meeting. Their miscommunication shows time is slipping for Hazel's midnight harvest and raises the risk of being caught.
There's never been an interesting person here.
What did he just say? I need to clear my schedule.
Hazel hears the argument and decides to act faster. Cohen watches Hazel leaf through a worn book on imperial gardening laws. He points out she already memorized its pages and asks why she reads it again. The official reveals the sole exception, a women's salon permitted inside the palace, enacted by Ramstein's cultural reforms and personally approved by the emperor. He warns that people forget the clause over time, but it stays enforceable. This matters because the salon provision offers a concrete legal route Hazel might exploit to legitimize her farm. Hazel now plans how to use the salon clause to protect her land. A wooden plaque hangs near the palace garden entrance. The inscription reads, "If you have a disagreement, please report it to this." The wording is broken, but the intent is clear. Any dispute must go through the palace's official channel.
Cohen confronts Hazel, apologizing for his stubbornness, as they uncover a marble slab titled Change. And a palace official reveals the sole loophole, a women's salon exemption that could legitimize Hazel's farm inside the imperial grounds. Hazel's hope teeters on this discovery while Carrie trembles, fearing that defying palace law could strip her farm away. And Cohen bears the weight of his earlier mistake, to restore trust and secure their livelihood. Now the garden's strawberries hide a ticking clock, as the palace's forgotten clause threatens collapse, leaving Cohen, Carrie, and Hazel poised on the brink of a decision that could preserve their farm or doom it.
Just one more chapter, right? We've all been there. Subscribe to Manwa with Hari. Marronnier Farm's cursed fertilizer detonates, sending a shockwave toward the Imperial Palace in minutes. Sunlight glints off the embroidered walls of Hazel's freshly built homestead. The air hangs heavy, a rare stillness that blankets the wheat fields. Hazel watches the distant palace silhouette, oblivious to the impending echo that will roar toward its towers. The explosion shatters her quiet dream and thrusts it straight into a political crisis. The next scene flashes a cryptic measurement on a report, hinting at a deeper mystery. Imperial surveyors scramble to catalog the blast's residue. Their instruments flash Mol beside the fertilizer tag, a unit that screams extreme potency. Palace engineers gasp. The reading dwarfs any safety standard they know. Cohen steps forward, voice steady. He cites the exact wording of the decree. The salon owner also owns the land it occupies, granting her sovereign authority equal to a queen's over that plot. His tone respects the emperor, but the implication is crystal clear. Her claim could eclipse Hazel's title. With all due respect, he begins. The emperor now faces a legal paradox that could tip the balance. The emperor declares, "Even my command cannot evict a noble woman who has established a salon on her private land." The admission cements a legal shield around the application, leaving Hazel's farm vulnerable to denial. Council murmurs rise, aware the law now favors the noblewoman over the farmer. Cohen watches the council scramble, then lets out a short exclamation and a wild laugh. "This is so funny. I'm going crazy," he shouts, highlighting the absurdity of the noblewoman's legal shield. His reaction underscores how little the council takes the farm's future. P's next jab escalates the tension. P steps forward, accusing the others of always teasing him when they get the chance. He then praises the newspaper article as a masterpiece, urging them not to be angry because it worked out as intended. This reveals P's use of media to shape public opinion and push the salon plan forward, turning a legal dispute into a propaganda victory. 4.
A new document is presented, labeled simply Another. Its contents remain hidden, but its arrival suggests another bureaucratic layer or a fresh objection to the farm's expansion. The council's focus pivots to this unseen issue, setting the stage for the next showdown over the land. Cohen throws a quick jab about cheering up the group. P rolls his eyes, muttering a half-hearted reply. Thor watches, arms crossed, waiting for the next move. The banter keeps the council from focusing on the unfinished wall, highlighting their lack of unity, a factor that could delay the farm's expansion. But this "you leave cheer up." P's apology looms in the next scene. P acknowledges his harsh comment and apologizes.
P steps forward, eyes sharp, and declares he will make sure the farm's manager confronts the danger of the lingering fertilizer smell. He slams his palm on the table, emphasizing his resolve. The others watch, uneasy, as P's confidence raises the stakes. He drops a casual "yo" to break the tension, signaling he's ready to act. This promise forces the group to address the odor before the Emperor's deadline. "Yo!" The Emperor's next decree looms, ready to halt the farm's expansion. Hazel slams the freshly inked deed onto the palace gate, daring the Imperial guards, while P slams his palm on the council table, vowing to force the farm manager to confront the lethal fertilizer stench. P risks his friendship with Cohen. Cohen masks fear behind sarcasm. Hazel risks Imperial retribution, and Lolis risks her own safety, all to protect the farm's future and expose the poisonous air threatening their livelihood. The Emperor watches, intrigue flickering behind his crown, the fertilizer's foul odor still thickening, and the manager remains silent, leaving the council teetering on a deadline that could seal the farm's fate if they hesitate. Make this your weekly ritual. Subscribe to Manwa with Hari for your guaranteed dose of action. Cohen's blade cracks. The palace's hidden plot threatens to burst at dawn. Hazel climbs up to check the ceiling after hearing planks fall. She finds a gaping hole. She grabs a bundle of straw, weaves it, and slaps it over the opening as a temporary roof. The patch stops rain but offers no real protection. The farm is still exposed, and a storm looms. The next scene show her hunting for better material. Hazel tears down broken beams, salvages rusted metal sheets. She bends them into crude kitchen tools, spoon, ladle. While working, she uncovers a small, metal-bound satchel hidden in the wreckage. The bag's lock is welded shut, She bangs it, but it won't open. She calls the palace envoy a troublemaker, noting his strong mentality. She mutters about potatoes growing in the field, a small distraction from the looming threat. An arrow the envoy fires at the roof proves useless, missing its mark and only wasting his effort. The next problem looms. A massive hole threatens the whole structure. A huge gap yawns in the roof, exposing the interior to rain. She warns that if left open, the ceiling will collapse under the next gust. A farmhand shrugs, claiming there's no reason to worry, despite the obvious danger. The looming collapse forces everyone to act quickly. The knights return, and the cloaked figure watches the farm's fate.
Hazel's hands dart across the cracked shingles, slashing vines into a tangled net as rain lashes the farm. She shouts for help, and the Martin twins sprint, hauling a battered barrel of water to douse the flickering flames sparked by a stray spark. Suddenly, Dame Louis Gallardo steps forward, demanding the farm's surrender, while a cloaked specter drifts through the mist, clutching a rusted key that hummingly resounds. Dame Louis Gallardo lifts her visor, revealing a face as white and cold as ice. Her eyes stare down at the farm's ruined roof, calculating the threat it poses to the palace. Cohen tightens his grip on the straw cover, daring not to move.
Cohen admits he feels intimidated, the sheer number of knights overwhelming him. He glances at the rain-soaked straw, then at the sealed bag. The crowd size shows the Empire's seriousness about protecting the palace's perimeter. His confession underscores the psychological pressure the farm crew faces. The storm pounds louder, and the knights tighten their circle. The farm's future hangs on whether Hazel can rally her crew. The next scene promises a decisive stand from Hazel against the Imperial forces. Cohen stands on the cracked roof, watches the knights keep silent. He notes 2 hours of stillness. He feels their stare as pressure. He worries about being forced to yield. Rain beats down, making the makeshift cover sag. Cohen grabs a sack of stale bread and offers it to the knights, forging a fleeting bridge as the metal-bound bag hovers ominously on the roof while Dame Louis commands her troops to hold back. Cohen feels his throat tighten with intimidation, yet relief blooms as the knights accept the bread, their hungry faces softening, while the farm boys cling to hope that shared sustenance steadies their trembling resolve. A cloaked figure steps out from the storm-soaked shadows, eyes fixed on the sealed bag, while Dame Louis's stare locks onto its mysterious markings, leaving everyone to wonder what hidden power lurks inside before sunrise.
Real fans, stick around. Subscribe to Manwa with Harry, and let's finish this story together.